Hi everybody, it's Tatiana, and very quickly I am going to share with you a book haul. This is the last bunch, I was going to say a little bit, but last bunch of books that I purchased in 2018. And I am going to say, I know I have said this before, but I kind of sort of really mean it this time. This is going to be the last book haul that I do, and this is why. I have books that I hauled in 2014, 2015 that I still have not read, and since in 2019 I am looking towards reading more of the books on my shelf to participate in the challenges that I'm doing, that I've set aside for myself for this year. You'll see the books that I get when I review them or I put them in my wrap-ups. We'll see if I stick to that. But for now, here are the books that I have purchased. These were all purchased after Thanksgiving. I want to say in December. I think they were all purchased in December except one. I'm going to show you that one. And that is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. This finally came in. I said in my last haul that I was waiting for this from Book Depository, and the snow and everything delayed its being delivered, so it finally came like right before I left for the holidays. So I'm happy to have this. Y'all, this sucker is a beast. Like my palm, this book. This is a beast of a book. So I don't know if I'm going to finish this in 2019. The goal that I have though is to read a little bit of this a month, and I'm going to sit down with some of my either page flags or magnetic bookmarks and try to mark the pages and the chapters to see where I need to, how much I need to read in a month to finish this within the year. But I am not putting in a lot of pressure on myself to do that, because I'm going to read this book and I'm going to enjoy it while I read it. If you don't know, this is a huge aside. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I listened to probably the first 1,000 pages of this via LibriVox a few years ago. And if you don't know what LibriVox is, it is an audiobook, a free audiobook service that where you can read or listen to books that are public domain. But the downside of that is that the books are read by actors who are like training, or they have to get a certain amount of credits for some of the courses that they're taking. So the reading as you go from one chapter or one recording to a next is not the same narrator, and it's not consistent with how the story is being told, how the protagonist is being represented by the tone of the reader. And I had read a few audiobooks via LibriVox before getting to this, and this was the worst experience that I had with reading it. There were two narrators for the book, the version that I got, the first one, and then there was a guy called Wild Alaska. That was what he went by for the sake of recording. I doubt that that was his real name, but who knows. And those two were the best narrators, but every time after Wild Alaska finished his recording, I would think of Baked Alaska, which would take me out of the book. And then a lot of the other recorders, there was one who was Australian, who was like, sounded like she was whispering, and I would have my volume all the way up and I still struggled to hear her. And if you don't know, I have I have a mental tick when it comes to whispering. It freaks me the fuck out. And so yeah, having my volume all the way up to kind of hide or cover the fact that she was whispering and not freak myself out. And then there were some who they were not primary English speakers, and their accents were so strong that I could not understand what they were saying. And that is very difficult to do in some cases with me, because I love accents and I love dialects from other places, and I like listen to them all the time. So for me not to be able to understand it, that's really saying something. So yeah, I stopped myself, because I was just getting more and more frustrated as it went through. That's why I wanted to buy it. And then I got the free version on Kindle, and then saw somewhere that it wasn't the best translation, and this is the best translation. So I have it now. That was a long ass discussion about that book. The rest of this video, if you haven't just like fast forwarded, the rest will not be that long. After getting that, and before I went out of town, I went to a local bookstore, local used bookstore that is an indie bookstore, and found some gems, and I'm really, really excited about it. One was Someone Knows My Name by Lawrence Hill. This will be the first book that I will have ever read by Lawrence Hill. I also got The Lacuna by Barbara Kingsolver. I picked this up because the Poisonwood Bible was not in their stock at that time. However, Dee Dee at Brown Girl Reading read this with her book club in 2018. Is that right? Either 2018 or 2017. And she enjoyed it. She really enjoyed the Poisonwood Bible, but she enjoyed this as well. So I went ahead and grabbed this just based on what she said. I found a copy of All Aunt Hagar's Children by Edward P. Jones. This is what I was looking for when I purchased The Known World from Second and Charles last year. I haven't read that either. So now I have two Edward P. Jones books on my bookshelf, which are because of Denise at Denise D. Cooper, no longer doing arts books or anything on YouTube, and Kay from KT. And they also had The Man in the Iron Mask by Alexandre Dumas. I will not be reading this in 2018. I know that already, because The Count of Monte Cristo is the focus of Dumas for 18, but I do want to get to a point where I've read all of his books. I did read The Black Tulip on LibriVox, and that went very well. So if you don't know, if you're not familiar with Dumas, he has, like, all of his books have the theme of the wrongfully imprisoned getting out for revenge. And those of you who have been here for a while know that I really, 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 all those reallys, love vengeance and revenge stories. So if you are like me and you really love those kinds of stories, then you need to read you some Alexandre Dumas, because it's awesome. In fact, every time I go to talk about Dumas with somebody, what I hear in my head is Sideshow Bob's son on the episode of The Simpsons when the Simpsons go to Italy to get Mr. Burns's Lamborghini Fastarossa. Wow, I really remember this episode very well. And SpongeBob's son says, "Vendetta, vendetta, vendetta for me, Poppy." That's, yeah. Okay. I also got, I'm such a fucking geek, a hardback copy of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I am on a mission to purchase the first, now 2 books in hardback for the Harry Potter series, and so I purchased 5, 6, and 7 in hardback when they came out. However, books 1 through 4 I had in these Scholastic paperback editions, and I want the editions to match. Not that I'm getting rid of the Scholastic paperbacks, but now I have 3 through 7 in hardbacks, and I just need to get 1 and 2. I think that's right. So those are all the books that I got from the used bookstore. The next place that I went was, while I was away, I always go to the Second and Charles, where my dad and my stepmom and brother live, where my sister used to live, but she ditched the city and went to Tennessee. Anyway. But I always go to their Second and Charles because they tend to have a much better sci-fi and fantasy selection than the Second and Charles here. And I was a little disappointed this time. I was going hoping to find a copy, in all honesty, a used copy of An Unkindness of Ghosts, which was a bust. So yeah, I've ordered that on Amazon. That'll be here in a couple days. But I'm gonna share with you the 5 books that I did get. I got Under the Udala Trees by Chinelo Okparanta. I'm pretty sure I butchered the hell out of that. I cannot remember who I heard talk about this that made me say, you need to go ahead and pick that up. But when I saw it, I was like, you've heard that. Somebody really liked that. Grab it. And that's what I do, like when I go to a used bookstore, or now any bookstore. Because I have been into Barnes & Noble 5 times in the last month and bought zilch. Because nothing that they had on their shelves was something that I either hadn't already read, or was something that was on my radar, or by an author who was already on my radar. So I didn't pick it up. Restraint, people! I have a little. I also got We Need New Names by No Violet Bulawayo. I am pretty sure I just butchered the shit out of that. And I want to say Dee Dee from Brown Girl Reading read this and liked it. I couldn't remember whether or not she liked it. I hope she didn't hate it. We'll see how I feel about it when I read it. I got The Prey of Gods by Nikki Drayden, which has been on my radar for a little while, and I actually borrowed from the library, and then my hold expired, and now there's a long ass waiting list. Second and Charles had it for $3.75. Worth it. I got another Paul Marshall book. I read, if you can see this, I read Daughters by Paul Marshall in 2016 or beginning of 2017, and it was just okay, but I kind of sort of did like her writing style, so I picked up Brown Girl, Brown Stone by Paul Marshall, and we will see how I like this. This was $3.85. Can't beat it with a stick. I have no idea what it's about, but again, she was on my radar. I grabbed it. And then I picked up a physical copy of Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. I do have it on my Kindle. This is one of the few books that I have paid for on my Kindle that I bought in print. And I haven't read either, but I think after reading for the first time An Unkindness of Ghosts, as well as the first 2 books in the Loyal League series by Alyssa Cole, and not being able, even though you can highlight and mark places in Kindle books, when you do that, it updates to Amazon so everyone else can see your highlights. Now, if that doesn't bother people, great. It kind of sort of bothers me because I don't even want to read a book that, like, this has an underline in it that I missed when I flipped through it in the store. I just saw it and I'm not seeing it again. But I don't like that. I don't want any dirtiness. Yeah, it's on page 33. Oh, there's another one. Son of a biscuit! I hate having other people's underlines in a book when I purchase it. In fact, there was another book that I almost bought and I put it right back, and it was by a Nigerian author. No, it wasn't a Nigerian. It was an African author, but they weren't from Nigeria. That's why it stood out to me. But it had pink highlighter all through it, and so I put it back on the shelf. Get past all of that. I wanted the opportunity and ability to tab this book without it tabbing the entire Amazon database as I'm reading this. And also, I kind of want to read it without seeing other people's highlights on everything as well. So I didn't realize that that was going to bother me when I first purchased the Kindle copy. I purchased the Kindle copy a long time ago. So yeah, anyway, this is so freaking long because I'm procrastinating cleaning up this office from the mess that I made when I packed and that I added to when I started to unpack. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Thank you all for watching, and I'm not even gonna go unpack. I'm gonna go record another video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a good weekend whenever you see this video. Peace. Peace out.